One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.
Welcome back, everyone, to One Word.
One word.
One word. One word.
I'm so sorry, Charlotte.
I didn't take offense to it.
I am Dominic.
I'm Charlotte. I'm Rosie.
I'm Harmon.
That's right. That's Charlotte over there.
That's
What our
Charlotte.
guest host for this very trivial episode.
Yeah. What a wonderful guest host you were, I gotta
You
say.
were.
thank
I
you.
have to
I'm so
admit.
glad you're here.
One of my favorites that we've had.
Oh, thank you.
Did you say I have to admit?
I have to
like,
admit.
like it's not
Like-
like when someone says I have to admit, it's kind of like I don't want to.
I don't want to know.
Hot take, but
Yeah.
Whatever. Welcome to Trivial. It was quite the episode.
It was quite the episode.
it was.
It was something.
We talked a little bit about like Oscar Wilde.
Yeah,
and-
interesting fella.
Yeah,
isn't he?
really interesting fella. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna read one of your favorite quotes, and I just read it 1 minute ago, and I gotta say it's one of my favorite quotes too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a good
yeah.
quote.
Yeah. My wallpaper and I are fighting a duel to the death. One or the other of us has to go.
And then he died.
Oh my gosh.
And, oh.
That's so
Yeah.
dark.
Oh, okay.
When you read it, you were like, I get it. And now it's like,
No, that's what he said on his dying on his deathbed. He kept that wit and
Dang.
No, that's how I want to go out.
Wait,
Yeah.
Oscar said that?
yeah, he said that as
Oh my gosh.
on the Seine. He was in France because he was exiled to France, and he was in a hotel on the Seine, and that's what he said, and then he died. Yeah.
Well,
It was real,
1 point to the wallpaper.
I envision like very loud,
Wallpaper?
yes,
In the
just like
hotel? In
gaudy
France?
and loud, because he was also an aesthete.
Oh, what?
Not an athlete. He was an aesthete.
How do you spell that?
It is aesthetic. It is
Oh,
a
aesthetic.
person
Oh.
concerned with aesthetic.
You know, that's what
Got
they
it.
should call it, like interior decorators. Like, I feel like they would get a lot more business if they called athletes.
On the business
Yes.
card, yeah.
They
Uh,
must. They must.
What
Yeah.
was something
funny.
else? We talked about the positive and the negatives to
Mm-hmm.
trivial things.
Yeah. It's. I'm still consumed with agony over this.
Sorry.
That's Stephen Sondheim.
It is.
No, but it still bothers me that I can't pinpoint an exact. You know what I mean? But I think it's because, and we talked about it a little in the episode, but I think I didn't mention this part. I think it's because it's also different for each person. Like it could be, it's like a sliding scale, like the sandwich scale.
Like the sandwich scale.
You know, where what, and not all things are trivial, but some things might be trivial. Not all trivial things are bad, but some trivial things could be bad. Like it's just, it's really hard to pinpoint on
Not
this
all
episode.
bound things are sandwiches, but some.
Some things are. We talked
are.
about
But we
that.
do know that 1 + 1 is 2.
yeah.
Is
Or
it?
7. Both could
No,
be
it's
correct.
Two. It's
No.
not.
Are you?
We do talk about, but wait, go ahead.
I
Howard.
think there's a triviist among us, or whatever. The
No, but
Yeah.
we do talk about the element. There's a philosophical thing where multiple things could be true at the same time. It really asks you to question what she's looking for every camera in the studio to say no to. It's really a process in questioning what truth is, I think. We had a lot of talk about truth
Mm-hmm.
in Trivial as well.
We did.
We didn't talk about Bo Burnham, but I want to, so
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it now.
Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
There is a song. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a song. I'm sorry. There's a song by Bo Burnham called That Funny Feeling. And I think that it's like,
Mhm.
it's like the perfect little wrap up of like all things trivial, because it seems like everything unimportant, but every time I listen to it, I find like a new like respect for it.
Oh.
Like as I've like gained more knowledge and like gotten older and stuff like that, it's
You are
like
ancient.
I'm an ancient wise soul.
You are. Now, I'm going to interrupt you for just 1 second. I always, by the way, felt 35.
Like even when you were
Like when I was 5.
Yeah.
I felt like I was 35.
How about now?
I still feel like I'm 35. Which is
Are you not
accurate.
35?
Which is accurate.
Yeah.
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 Go ahead. Keep going.
No, it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. Just kidding.
So yeah, I think it's like this isn't like one of those brand things where they could like sue us, right? If I say Bo Burnham.
No.
No,
Yeah.
okay. Bo Burnham can't
I don't
sue
think
us.
any of the brands are like. she said her name. We're coming for it.
Free
I don't know.
advertising.
Maybe.
What's
Yeah. No, but sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
It's just a good song, and I think that like it's one of those things where it seems very random and very like trivial, but you can find like just like we talked about,
Yeah.
like finding respect for things that are trivial. It's one of those situations where I'm like, I feel like I really appreciate this song now that I know that it's not supposed to be perfect. You know?
I love what you just said about finding respect for things that are trivial, because I think that's important. I like to run, as you all know from the red-winged blackbird on the previous beginning of the season. And when I started running several years ago, I used to listen to stuff. And then I stopped. And I thought my mind was just getting recluttered and propelled with all this other stuff. And I started listening to the world around, to what might seem insignificant. The birds, a beaver going down the stream. Literally, so you see an eagle, a bald eagle flying over the path that you're on. These are things I've seen, and they are mostly insignificant. But when you take time to appreciate that little trivial thing in your day, I think if you can appreciate that small trivial thing, I think you can appreciate the great things even more. So I think that having that respect is important. Yeah. That wasn't in the rant.
No.
Probably should have been, and I probably should have, but it just came to me when Charlotte said have that's that line.
I like it. We towards the end of the episode we do some. Did you have something else you were gonna say just now? Did I stop you? No. Oh, okay.
That was my Bo Burnham rant.
I like it.
It was
Okay.
less formal than yours, but it was still.
At the end, we kind of do this little trivial debates
Yeah.
part. And I
About
have
some trivial things.
yeah, about some trivial things. So I just want to share like one or two more. Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
that
guys
we did
ready?
not get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should you make your bed every day?
Yes.
Should I and do I are different things.
The reason I say yes is it gets you a clean start, a fresh start, an organized start. And once again, if you start with that trivial thing of making your bed in an organized manner, perhaps you'll bring that to other things throughout your day.
Razi, you said no.
Well, I mean, I do, but
She said that with
No,
attitude.
I do, but like, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't affect my day if I didn't, because there have been times where I just didn't, and then I was like, wow, that was really productive.
Oh,
And I went
that
home
was-
and I was
yeah.
like, my bed's not made.
I genuinely cannot tell you if I made it this morning or not. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, no, I think you do have a point though, where it's like it's a good start to your day.
Yeah.
But does anyone else feel like to go to sleep, you have to make your bed before you go to sleep?
Yeah, a little
100%,
bit.
yeah.
Like sometimes
What?
I'll
No, because like the
Yeah.
sheets get unaligned, and then you're
Yes.
Oh,
like,
you need them tight.
Yeah,
Like
and then
tight sheets and tucked
so then you can
in.
like
and-
walk in your room and be like, oh my gosh, it was like nothing ever happened. I can just go back to sleep. It's like what?
You would be appalled at my sleep routine. Let's just say that.
What's
Well,
another one?
Okay. Desserts. Okay. Is this an acceptable dessert? Cheesecake,
Yes.
Yes.
I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
of course.
coffee cake,
yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
It's more of a morning thing, but like it
Yeah.
has cake in the title, so.
okay. Applesauce,
No.
Yeah, I've had applesauce as dessert.
No.
No.
Just like straight up like a Mott's applesauce? Or
Yeah.
What is one type of applesauce acceptable in my answer, and another one not?
Yeah, just a regular
just straight
applesauce. Straight up
that's nice.
applesauce.
Yeah, like
that.
I will have applesauce and cottage cheese mixed together for dessert. It's delicious.
It's vile. That is, I agree
That's
with
kind
you.
of an abomination. That is hubris manifest.
Yeah, I don't like that. That
Okay,
makes
one
me
more.
angry.
That makes me sad.
That makes me angry.
Salad.
Sure, if you really like salad, have it
Yeah.
as a dessert. Yeah.
I definitely eat salad as dessert.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I know. Because like dessert for me has
So
to be
I'm
like
Italian.
a
Yeah.
sweet thing.
What
Yeah.
if it's
And
like
Italians
strawberries?
will eat
It's like-
salad a lot at the end of a meal
Sure.
Oh.
to
Instead of
Cleanse.
like compared to an appetizer where it's like a
yeah
Pre-game.
because it's you have your meal, then you eat your salad at the end to
Interesting. I didn't know that.
kind of cleanse it all out.
Sure. I feel like some people do that at the beginning to like cleanse before. So I could completely see what you're doing at the end too.
Okay. That's it.
That's
all I
great.
got.
Yum.
Well, my friends, I don't think we should talk on any longer.
We talked a lot. We talked a lot.
It's been
And we sung a lot.
We
One
have-
person sung a lot. And rapped a few.
All right. Yeah.
Rapped a few
Yeah,
tunes.
got it.
Your rap career is gonna take
I-
off.
I got some things
I
in me
believe in
these
that.
people don't even know yet.
Ooh, I like it. I'll talk to my record label.
Without further ado, I just have one word for you. Trivial.
Trivial. The definition of trivial. Did you say?
I did.
The other day, I was sorry, story time. The other day,
It's story time
in my class.
with Jenna and Dominic.
Welcome. One of my students, every sentence I would say, he would then play like this little gospel lick. So I'd be like, all right, y'all, today, no. We're going to be learning about tripods. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway.
That's great.
Okay, trivial.
That is not trivial.
That is not.
That is
well,
exuberant.
Oh.
Yeah.
That might be a little trivial.
Yeah, but it added so much joy.
Oh.
Did it not? Like
It-
you're smiling as you told that story.
Yeah, but trivia things can give you joy.
I know.
Yeah.
But go. Never mind. We're getting too far. Tell us what it means.
Okay, definition. Ordinary. So around 1580s is kind of when 15th century actually, early
Yeah.
15th century is
Yeah.
when trivial started coming around. Definition can be like ordinary and insignificant thing, but that's kind of a now definition.
Agreed.
The earliest use of the word came from is it Latin that it came from? Is trivium Latin?
Yes, it's the Latin word trivium.
Okay,
Yes.
so trivium meaning like tri means three,
Mhm.
and vias came from like roads or crossroads. So it's like three crossroads coming together.
Yes.
And the thought of that was like how it kind of changed into the trivia. It's like if things are coming to the crossroads, you're gonna have all these different things you can talk about if everything's meeting together.
Sure.
And then suddenly that turned into like it's
Yeah.
insignificant.
And
Also, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, you go.
I was gonna say, and those three crossroads specifically were grammar,
Yes.
rhetoric, and logic.
Yeah.
Those were the three crosswords. Crosswords?
Crosswords.
Yeah.
I love
well, sometimes
crosswords.
maybe crossword puzzles are trivial.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
they are. Those were the three crossroads of the trivium. That's all I was going to add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting because sorry. So I have so many words right now.
There are a
love
lot
it.
of words. But can we just agree, for Pete's sake, to deal with only one word?
One word.
One word.
at a time, folks.
Some gospel tones.
So I was gonna say the three roads. Like, can you say what the three roads were again?
Grammar,
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric,
Mhm.
and logic.
Okay, so those three roads came about because the four main roads, when you were in like medieval education,
Mhm.
was arithmetic, music, geometry, and astronomy.
I like how music is
It's like its own.
Alright.
Yeah.
It's
The
like
medieval people knew what they were doing.
yeah.
It's not an extra thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the 4 main
That
ones
was a
Yeah.
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
coming off of our harmony episode last
Right.
month.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, if you're not going to focus on these main things, you can focus on the trivium.
Very interesting.
Ah.
But don't you find it's interesting though that like logic is one of those trivium things, right?
Yeah.
So I have the first use of the word. Okay, it was first recorded. Okay, use and maybe we should put like a special note on this episode too, because there are things that are gonna like contradict one another
Oh, yeah.
so much with this word. And even here when I say the first recorded use, we think it is, because then at the end of it I'll say, oh, it might have also been this guy, but it's one of these two people, they think. So the earliest recorded was Thomas Bowes, and he wrote epistles, and it was published in 1591, and that he used it in a sense referring to trivium in the Latin sense.
He wrote
Okay.
epistles?
Yes. What did I say? Did I say it wrong?
Epistles.
Yep. Thank you very much. See, I just need to have you pronounce things for me, right?
It could have
says-
been epistles.
It is a series of 124 letters from himself to his friend. Let's just say that name then for me, then, would you? That's his friend.
Lucilius.
There we go, Lucilius. That's great. And it offered insights on Stoic philosophy. And it was basically this guide to practical advice and how to live a virtuous and a meaningful life. That's basically what was in it. And the key texts are still influential in today's Western philosophy. And here's just some of the things that he talked about in the book. So you get an idea of what the letters were about and what were in them. It was about wisdom, right? True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future.
That'd be nice.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah, that's a smart guy.
He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Do you get it?
No.
Wait,
I
can you
had
say
to
that
read
again?
that one like 3
Yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah.
It's basically saying the person who suffers more than necessary is the one who starts suffering before it's necessary, like you're
Yeah.
worrying and
Oh,
things
got
like
it,
that.
got it,
Why
got it,
worry
got it,
about that
got
if it's
it.
not a
If
thing
it's
yet?
not,
Like,
like
you-
Yeah.
don't worry.
don't
Yeah.
worry about it. He who fears death will never do anything worth a man who is alive. Why worry about death? Let's live together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's live. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough. It has been given in sufficiently generous measure to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things if the whole of it is well invested.
That's inspirational.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it makes
kind
you
of
wanna
inspirational.
live.
And these kind of talk
Should
a
put that on a
lot
t-shirt.
about like who we are and what we value, what we find important, what is the things we should spend our time doing in life versus not doing in life.
And I think it's like we spend so much time trying to pick out the most important things that we could be doing in
Uh-huh.
life, where it's like
Yeah.
we miss out on everything.
Yes, you miss out on
Exactly.
so much when we
Yeah.
yeah, what are examples of that? Are there things that we might miss out on by spending so much time on, well, shall I just say trivial things?
I mean, I was watching this TV show the other day. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to name TV shows?
Sure. yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
It's
Go
called-
ahead.
I
If
mean, we
you're not.
talked about Disney a lot
true,
a
that's
couple
true.
of
Yeah.
months ago.
We're not sponsored by Disney. But it was Carol and the End of the World. It's on Netflix. It's like an animated series.
Yeah. I
yeah.
saw stuff about that.
So there was this like whole plot line where she spent so much time focusing on like work and things like that because she conditioned herself to think that that was the most important thing in life, that she missed out on like so many opportunities to make memories with her family and things like that. So I feel like, I don't know, like work balance
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes work can be trivial.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so interesting. It's like what we can. So I'm going to introduce another word to you.
And then I'm going to introduce another word to you.
You go
word.
first.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's this word. It's called bike shedding.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
you
Okay,
might-
I'm going to tell you what I think it's all right.
Oh, no.
Here I am.
Oh,
I'm
dear.
riding my bike down the street.
Uh-huh.
That's
And then-
exactly how I sound when I ride my bike.
Yes, it is. This is my Charlotte impression.
Of course.
And all of a sudden, I see an ice cream truck. I'm going to shed my bike and run to the ice cream truck.
That's exactly what that means.
That's
Yes.
what he means. How did you know?
You're like right on the nose.
I'm going to be honest. I have the intellect of a pea. No, I'm kidding.
So bike shedding can also be known as Parkinson's. This is the person who kind of came up with this theory.
Well, I
this
feel terrible
argument.
now.
No. This law of triviality. So you were not right, but I applaud your effort.
But perhaps I am also right in not right, because how am I right? How could I be wrong? Is it wrong?
Yeah,
That's
you
to
were
come up
wrong.
later in this episode.
You were wrong.
Don't look at me like I'm crazy. There's a whole thing about nothing being wrong.
So bike shedding is basically, it kind of describes our tendency to devote a disproportionate amount of time to menial and trivial matters.
Yeah.
And they really focused on this at work, so like in the workplace. And they're saying that you can spend, like, if you allot an hour of work for something that really would take 30 minutes, you're
Yeah.
still going to spend that hour of energy and stuff on that thing, whereas you could have just spent 30 minutes.
Sure.
One thing they were saying is, like, think about a class and your teacher is teaching you about this thing that you need for this subject, but then there's a side story and they start talking about the side story.
Mhm.
And then for the next like 30 minutes, you guys are talking about this thing. It's probably more interesting and like
Mhm,
funny
mhm.
than the thing you're supposed to be learning. But now you haven't learned that thing that you were supposed to learn.
Sure.
So they were saying, like, there's obviously a time and place for it,
Mhm.
but that can really take away from the amount of work that you're supposed to do and the amount of things you're supposed to learn.
Can I ask a question? Because could it
Please.
also work in the reverse? Could it also kind of hit that point home more? By going on to that trivial, it kind of re-emphasizes it and maybe makes it stick in our brain a little
Well-
more than it would have.
Then that wouldn't be bike shedding.
Then that so in order for it to be bike shedding, it
Yeah.
has to take away
Yes.
or be a negative attribute to the overall amount of time that you spent when you didn't have to. or
Right. And not
something.
even necessarily a negative attribute, because oftentimes those menial things, like
It was
you've
still
heard
fun.
about, right.
Yeah.
And it might even still be something that you need to do for something else, right? But or it can be fun, but it's just not pertinent to what needs to be done.
So it's a
then.
bit like procrastinating, like almost.
Right.
Mhm.
And I was
Like,
going to say,
yeah.
there's like the productive procrastination, and
Oh,
it could
yeah.
be productive procrastination or it could just be procrastination.
Or you could just, yeah.
Like,
oh, I get that.
I'll give an example. The other day, we're filming, and people found my markers that have scents. And there's a good, like, I got this pack of markers that has a good, like, there's maybe like 30 markers in there.
That's a good pack.
Yeah, it's a real good pack. So let me tell you, the next half hour of class may have been spent smelling these markers and having everybody smell these markers. Not everybody stayed and smelled the markers. Some people went and filmed the things that they needed to do. But some
But
of
the
them,
fun people,
the fun
stayed.
people stayed, and
Yeah.
maybe Miss Carpenter stayed and was like, "Smell this nacho cheese one. Doesn't it smell just like nacho cheese?"
You know, I had when I was young, my world history teacher, we'd come in and he would just be smelling the markers, and in the middle of class, he'd just be like, "They smell so." It
That
was
seems
just
like a
Were they
problem.
what?
Were they the scented ones?
Or was it like Sharpies?
It was the dry erase markers that
Oh.
people use on the
I don't
board.
like if it was like a Sharpie or something, because like I feel like all of us can kind of appreciate like the nice scent. of the
Sharpie has a
Sharpie.
nice aroma.
It's got like I know it kills brain cells, but it's got a nice little thing to it. But like I don't know.
yeah, I
dry
don't
erase
advise
is-
that. We should not
No.
do those things.
To all of our listeners
Legit-
at home, please
Don't
do
do
not.
it.
At one
Please
point in the
don't.
middle class, I was like, "Y'all, we should not be sniffing markers. Like, this is not what our class should be."
Yeah.
I almost brought the markers here today, by the way.
But like I think there's
I'll
like
go
a
get 'em
nice
later.
frivolity.
Mhm.
Is that the right use of okay?
I don't know.
the
You haven't
frivol-
said more yet.
the
and then I'll-
the frivolity of like just like a simple like kind of fun task. It might be off the
Mhm.
task that you were trying to accomplish, but it can help like to raise morale and like increase productivity. So I think like there's something to be said for like a little bit of frivolity every now and again, as long as
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not like
yeah.
unchecked.
Right.
I totally agree with
Well, I
that.
think it helps build relationships.
Oh, for
too.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked the question about, because sometimes those kind of side conversations can be the thing that actually make people ingrain that concept in their head more
Sure.
than without that thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I think for them it like depends on what it is, and I think for this particularly, it's like these are
Mhm.
business people who are like, bottom line, get your work done.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So trivial, it exists in different ways within different areas of the world. So let's talk about math and science now.
Okay.
Our favorite.
I'd like to talk about math and science.
Great. Thank you, Jenna. Let's talk about math and science now. So there are, in mathematics and in science, there are trivial and non-trivial solutions to things. The easiest way to give this example on what makes a mathematic, and we'll break it down. We'll do math first and then science,
When
okay?
you really break it down,
Break it down now for me. Break it down. Break it down now for me. Break it down. You like that?
yeah, that was nice.
That's all I got on that.
Okay.
So if you're audience, if you're wanting more, I am sorry to let you down, but it's not coming.
New single will be dropping next year.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's
One
going to
word.
trial in production.
One word, the EP.
So,
Honestly, me too.
so math, it is basically an expected answer or a simple, straightforward answer in math. So if I were to have 2 times x equals 4,
Mhm.
x equals 2.
2.
That is a very straightforward equation with a straightforward answer. So that is a trivial answer.
Got it.
Simple. Non-trivial would be, and I wrote one down. I had to look up what a non-trivial for the same exact 2 is. It is e to the 1th power pi plus 1 equals 0. I have no clue what any of that stuff means right there.
I learned that.
But-
I don't know.
Did you? Okay, great. It is not immediately obvious.
You gotta do some work.
It requires, exactly. It requires reasoning and it requires effort of our mind. And that's non-trivial.
If you have
yeah.
e to the 1th power pi,
I don't know.
would you just say e?
Well,
to the
maybe
pi?
it's not 1th power.
Do you know
don't
what I
That's
mean? Like,
Is it a negative one?
no, it's
Well,
just a
this
one.
The inverse?
This is what
it's
it
like
was.
e and then to,
Oh, it's 2 though.
Oh, e to the power of pi?
I don't
right. Like, would you
1
need the
times
one,
the
or could
power
you
of
just
pi?
put pi?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
Clearly,
know.
none of us are mathematicians.
Yeah.
So if
E-pipe.
anyone in the audience is
E-pipe.
like,
E
I
to
know
the
what's
pipe.
going on.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically e, little tiny one up top, pi plus 1 equals 0.
That's gonna be the
And you're
second
solving.
track on our
That's good.
on our album is e to the pi.
Comment
Maybe
your
that's, no, maybe
answers.
that's the album title, you know?
Oh,
that's
There
good.
you go.
The pre-order link in the description.
So in science, it's similar, okay? But it goes into it, I think, a little bit more. So we've got trivial experiments, and then you've got trivial cases, okay? The experiment in scientific research that is trivial is one whose outcome is expected, okay? It doesn't lead to any kind of groundbreaking discoveries or anything like that. It's expected to know that when we add this baking soda to this whatever, it's going to make the volcano explode a little bit, right? And it's gonna.
Did you ever do a volcano experiment in school?
Never did one.
Yeah, it was,
Right?
But they're
You
all
did?
over.
Yeah, it was like vinegar, baking soda. Well, I mean, I didn't do it. I did it at home for
Did
fun.
you?
Me too. I did it at home too, and my mom was not happy with me because I would never clean it up, and she'd be like, "What is this?" And I'm like,
It's something for you to clean up.
I've
Yeah.
never,
Mom,
ever,
clean up.
never in my life have I done that.
I don't
Seriously?
either.
But
We should
it's
do
all,
one.
every TV show they have. a
Yeah.
volcano.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very familiar with the concept.
Right?
I've never done
And
I
they're
felt lied
always
to. Like,
done
you're going to do
very
this in
well.
school.
Yeah.
I didn't do it
Never.
in
That's a
school.
lie.
Never
You're
did that.
not telling the truth.
So that's what it is. Trivial case. The conditions or the parameters of what's going on in this experiment, the results are already well known or expected. It doesn't provide new insights there. Okay. Now the
Why are they doing it? I'm sorry. You don't
Well, sometimes I mean, why do school age children do scientific experiments or something like
well,
that?
they have to learn.
They have to learn.
That's
but
trivial,
the
though.
results,
Oh.
but the results,
Mm.
the teacher probably know. The results are expected.
Okay, that's fair. I get
You know
it.
what I mean? So there is a trivial experiment. This is part of the reason that I don't think necessarily, and maybe I'm jumping too far into this episode, that trivial is entirely, I don't know, useless or
Oh,
like
mhm.
useless
Yeah,
knowledge.
no.
Like, Trivial Pursuit was a game, and we can talk about that later if we want, that was created based on useless knowledge and like all these different things. Trivial, I think, has sometimes this rap, and I'm not talking about the rap that I'm doing right now, okay? It's got this rap of being just
That's
absolutely
trap number 3.
absolutely insignificant.
Mhm.
And it's not insignificant because those scientific experiments done in the 7th grade or whenever they're done become a building block for something more significant into your future. All right? But a non-trivial experiment involves challenging conditions, complex variables, or unexpected outcomes, new discoveries, and deeper understanding of phenomenon.
I have a question.
Yes.
So,
Which we came through just now, by the way. Like this non-trivial science out of a pandemic and out of COVID-19. Very non-trivial discoveries and things. Yeah.
So, like, if you're doing a science experiment, but, like, you and no one else expected the result you got to, like, happen,
Okay.
does that mean it's trivial? Because, like, or does that still mean it's non-trivial? Like, it already existed.
Repeat that one more
Okay,
time.
so I'm doing an experiment. It's an experiment that's already been done before.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting the result, but somebody had already done that experiment before and, like, found it.
But you didn't know about that?
But I didn't know about it.
Well, I think for your journey as a human being,
Yeah.
that is a non-trivial moment.
Okay.
That is a non-trivial result because perhaps synapses in the brain have collided differently. Perhaps you've learned something. It changed you. It's altering your thought process. It's like doing something to you is kind of how
Well, I
I
was
see
just
that,
thinking
yeah.
about that too, where like we can apply that to almost like every trivial thing. Like
Mhm.
what's trivial to you might not be trivial to me,
Totally true.
right? Like it might have more of a significance, or it might be a part of something that I do, whereas like and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
I have like a little example,
Yeah.
and it's kind of random, but it ties in.
How
so
dare you say random things on this podcast? Just kidding.
So I really like the board game Clue, and I'm like,
Yeah.
while researching, I
So
was
much
like,
fun.
yeah, but it's like I met like 2 of my best friends, and that we didn't have anyone to play with for indoor recess, and so we would always play Clue.
Yeah.
And so now it's like trivial to everyone else, and everyone was like, I hate that game, and I'm like, but it means something to me.
But it created something.
Yeah.
for you.
did,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it totally does.
And that's significant. I agree.
Yeah, that is significant. And I think it's also important to understand, as we emphasize so many times, I think, on this podcast, that part of life and being a good life journey partner with the people we are next to is understanding that.
Mhm.
That significance to you and me are different, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what colors our world, right? So that non-trivial, I just want to reemphasize this to you, that it's not easily deducted from existing knowledge. So in your case, you didn't have that knowledge. And so you couldn't easily deduct that was going to be the reaction or response. And so therefore it was non-trivial to you. Okay.
Do you think we should do a Clue podcast one day for
Yes,
one word?
please, and have me back.
Yes.
That
I
would be
just want
fun.
to play Clue on a podcast.
Okay.
We could all be different people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Good.
yes.
Dibs on Colonel
And we
Mustard.
could dress as them.
Yeah.
Dress up as your
Oh
character.
yes.
Yeah. So who would I be? Who would I be?
I think you would
if
be.
you're Colonel Mustard, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I want to hear what you.
No, I want to hear your reasoning.
Oh,
I'm
no.
curious. No, you first.
Okay,
No,
maybe Mr. Green.
Mr.
I get Professor
I
Plum
was also
vibes.
gonna say Professor
Yeah.
Plum. That
Yeah.
was me. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I've never played
Is
it.
it
I don't know
Mr.
the
Green
character.
like
I never played Clue. I watched the
Jealous?
movie.
You.
Okay.
I've never seen the movie. Is it good?
It's
I
good.
pretty
like
funny.
It.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the movie. It's definitely a watcher.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's one that
interesting.
you've got to watch.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think. Yeah, in life. What about triviality in like our societies and what society tells us we should value? What do we think of with society today? What does society today tell us is trivial versus and here's the word I was going to introduce earlier, vital. So there are vital things and there are trivial things. What's trivial? What's trivial today and what's vital?
I mean, I feel like this has always sort of been a thing since like society, but like consumer culture, you know, like you have to buy the new Stanley, you know, whatever.
It's a Yeti.
Okay.
Get out of here.
As Harriman picks up his cup.
But I
it's
feel
not a
like
Stanley.
with marketing, they push it to make it seem like it's really important when in reality it's kind of trivial. Like I could live my life without a Stanley, you know,
Yeah, I think you could.
and I am.
I mean, I totally think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that almost goes back. That has lines back to our phobia episode
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
I listened to that
And how-
one.
did you listen
Yes.
to
Did you like
It's
it?
great.
I did. I really liked it.
Good.
And how people create phobias in order to be the solution of that phobia almost. And so it's interesting how that kind of drifts over into the trivial thing. That Stanley Cup, sorry, let's not call it Stanley. Let's call it Choo-Choo Cup. Because I don't want them to get mad at me. But let's just say, oh, your cup's not good enough for you because it's obviously keeping your liquid too cold. This choo-choo cup is going to keep it at
The perfect.
63 degrees, which is the optimal temperature to consume liquids.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Now
for
they've
sure.
created the problem, and you're fearful that drinking 64-degree water.
All the other girls are gonna know that is not real. Your Jordans are fake. Like
So
a
that
whole mile. Yeah.
that is, and then that becomes really a trivial concern
Mm-hmm.
in the things we are dealing with today.
Oh, I agree.
Again, very contradictory though, because not 2 minutes ago, I think I just said what's trivial to one person might not be trivial to another, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, where is that line sometimes?
Well, I think too it kind of depends on, well, obviously for each person, but I think it depends on what is your purpose in life? Like what's your why? You know?
Yeah.
Like coming from like thinking about my family and like
Mhm.
we're all Christians and stuff, and so a lot of our purpose is like, all right, what does God want of us? How are, like everything we do from there is gonna be for that, and so that's kind of our purpose. So all of those things are like the important things, and other stuff can be trivial, but then like you were saying, some of those other things, the connections that you make with people through those things can kind of help bring you to what your purpose is.
yeah.
So
So I also, so that's wonderful. So I'm an artist.
you
Right.
are.
I am. That's what I am. An artist of all kinds, I think, because I believe an artist's job is to really kind of help transform people, hold a mirror up, and make humanity a better place, historically creating these artifacts for people to look back on, to reflect, to change, that kind of thing. And I think there's a guy. His name is Oscar Wilde. Have you ever heard of Oscar Wilde?
Yes.
His most famous piece probably is The Importance of Being Earnest. Okay. Do you know what the importance of does anyone know what the importance of being earnest is about?
I do not.
Okay, well, let's tell it because we like to tell some stories in here, okay? So there's a guy, his name is Jack, and he's got a friend, and his friend's name is Algernon, right? And so Jack, he invents a brother named Ernest so that he can escape. So he's Jack in the city and Ernest in the country. And then Algernon creates this invalid friend, Bunbury, and that invalid friend always needs him at times of like family outings and things like that. So they can escape, right? And the title, The Importance of Being Earnest, is a play on a human being earnest with another, and the importance of being the name Ernest, because they fall in love, and the women they fall in love with, they always wanted to marry someone with the name Ernest. That's a problem for Jack. And so all this comedy ensues throughout that, right? And it's a satire about us and who we really are and what we are enamored with and what we think is important and the social conventions and the superficial appearances. The themes of this show are love and social expectations, social norms, and trivialities, right? So trivial things such as names and manners and social statuses, that's what the show is about. It might be fun, it might be funny, but it really delves down into the Victorian England process of what we think is important. Lady Bracknell says wealth is important, and that is that thing that becomes vital for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were talking about your family and what drives you forward, right?
What's your purpose?
Yeah, what is it? What is that? So they obsess on these trivial matters sometimes. And so Oscar Wilde, he was a troubled, he had some trouble. He was a great guy, and he was living in a time period where who he was couldn't be necessarily accepted. He was imprisoned for who he was for 2 years. And then when he left, he exiled to France. And that truth in him was important. That was no trivial matter. That truth of who he was significant. But to others, it may have been trivial, not up to norms. Here's a few quotes, okay? I'm going to say a few quotes from his work, The Importance of Being Earnest, and how they really place emphasis on the Victorian times of that time. And tell me how you might see them in today's time.
Are you going to use a
You want me to talk in
Victorian
British
accent?
dialect?
Yeah.
Yes, I sure can.
Please.
Yes. Algernon says, the truth is rarely pure and never simple. Think about that for a second. While you think about how this might come to us today, this is talking about the skepticism and how truth as a concept should not be taken for granted. It is never pure. The truth is never pure. And it is not simple. Truth is not straightforward.
Kind of like Hannah Montana.
That's totally it. Just like
The
that.
entire time I was like,
That's
it's
it.
like Hannah
Hannah
Montana. It's like Hannah Montana.
So reality
That's
can
so true,
be
though.
intricate.
I get that.
Yeah. Pure or simple versions of events may be elusive. How do we feel that? Where do we see that? Where do we see that we can't really distinguish what truth is? I have a concern for this even moving 4 years into the future with AI.
Oh, yeah.
How it is going to take us work and effort to truly understand
No,
what
you're right.
truth is. And when we
Yeah.
take trivial to that scientific thing, right? Oh, yes, let's look up this fact about what this human being said 4 days ago. 6 years ago, that might have been really easy to find And the outcome would have been a trivial outcome as defined by the scientific way. 4 years from now, it may take great brain strength to figure out the truth. It is not pure. It is not simple. Those words from a Victorian play, I think, are going to be more important in 6 years than they have been since the show was written. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I do not approve. This is Lady Bracknell. Oh, sorry. So I put my British back on.
Yeah.
I do not approve of anything that tampers with the natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. Here she's talking about how important it is to just remain the status quo. Don't learn, don't grow. Remain the status quo. Right?
Like High School Musical.
I was there.
I was like, I can't
Do
not
it.
say
It
it.
was all I could do to not sing it.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so these are still stories being told. That's what the point. That's what my point is. I love this one. Here's a couple. I'm just going to speed through them now. And audience, you can make your own inference from it.
Decide for yourself.
Yes. In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Outward appearance is more important than being sincere with other people. I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest. That's a dual play there. I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately, but I play with wonderful expression. Discussing how doing things correctly and properly is not as important as showing that you can do something. The facade of something being more important than things. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. Putting an importance on the trivial elements of gossip and that kind of thing, right? This is a critique on societies, the excessive importance on trivial matters like fashion, outward appearances,
Celebrity
money,
aspects.
celebrity aspects, all of these different things. That's kind of where some of that triviality can become dangerous. It's almost like a different kind of triviality to the Clue triviality.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Speaking of clothes,
Yes.
can
Let's speak of them. I'm wearing an orange polo.
I know, we really don't need to leave this part in, but can I tell you a story about my sweater?
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you the story
No.
tonight? Okay. So this is me mom's jumper. This is my mom's sweater.
Mhm.
She's never worn it yet. I took it because I like the color, and I wore it the other day to church.
Yeah, you should be
and-
Colonel Mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wore it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I love this sweater! I'm so excited to wear it." And I put on this white collared shirt underneath it, and I was like super excited about it. And then I go to the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and I realize that I look like Arthur the Aardvark.
Oh.
And I had on jeans, and I had on like shoes that are like his, and I thought, and then my hair might have been
Did
up in
you
little buns.
take a picture?
I did take a picture. I'll show you later.
Oh,
That
please
is
do.
amazing.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just like Arthur. And the rest of the time I was there, I thought, what if somebody looks at me and thinks, why is she dressed like Arthur? And it totally does not
Halloween's
matter at all.
long gone.
You know?
Gone.
Yeah.
That Halloween is gone.
So that's
Yeah.
my story.
That's amazing.
Then I was
Yeah.
focused on looking like Arthur for the
That's
rest of the
good.
day.
Yeah.
So we just talked about some of the like household things and the time period of the Victorian era. What do we think of today when we're talking about trivial
I have to
and our
sneeze.
okay.
That's
3,
trivial.
2, 1. Lift off.
That's good. It didn't come. It didn't come. I'm sorry.
What is trivial in our households, or what does trivial mean today, coming all the way forward from that Victorian era?
I think I could probably address the
Yeah.
elephant in the room, which is
Sorry.
I didn't know there was an elephant. in
there.
there.
Oh
Where?
no, he's
What is it?
backstage. You see, I left he's
Okay.
good. I
Great,
left some
good.
peanuts with him. He's fine.
Okay.
But the social media, of course,
Okay.
not the social media, not the social media, but social media in general, I think,
Yeah.
is regarded as something pretty trivial. But society, we're hooked on it. You know, we can't get away from it.
Do you think to our society, social media has become trivial to most people or vital to most people?
I think it started as like a triviality,
Mm-hmm.
and now I think we're like addicted in a sense.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, I think people put a lot of stock in social
In
media
social
and what's
media.
on there and what's being said.
exactly.
Well, if it's on
Yeah.
social media, it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Like the thing too with the social media too is like as a musician who's trying to make it, it's like all the things you read are like whether you like it or not, you need social media in order to succeed and market yourself. So it's like not only is it like before you could
Yeah.
like before like Justin Bieber posted his YouTube video and whatever. Like prior to that, you didn't really need to have like a social media account if you wanted to be a musician or an artist
Right.
and make money. But now you're relying
much
on
need to.
social media to boost you.
Yeah, and I think again, there's balance to it, right?
Yeah.
Because there are there are people who you don't need that same break that you would have needed in the 90s to become an artist of some kind. You can create yourself and immediately create your own channel and put that out into the world. So in that sense, I think for artists sometimes it could be vital to the forward propulsion of the reach of an artist in our day and age. So where is that vital, trivial line? Where is that line?
And I think like a big thing with social media too is like the instant gratification versus like the delayed gratification.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's so hard to find that line because you're like, well, I like am distracted from my problems when I open social media, so like it's a good thing. But it's
You think
you
right
think,
then.
yeah. But then like the line blurs and you don't really know that you're in too deep before you're in too
I'm
deep.
so glad you said the line blurs. The line blurs. It's a cold line, everybody.
Fourth track.
It's called the
Just
line
spoken
blur.
word.
Because I envisioned that line as I was going through things, and I was getting so confused. So with this word a lot, you know, where is the line between trivial and vital? And where I feel like the line is imagine a 108-year-old man, me at 108.
Okay.
A couple
Right?
years from now.
And you were to go on the other side of the room and draw a line on the wall. And that line, you might have used a real nice, fine point, but that line with my eyes just gets so blurry or almost maybe disappears if I can't see it enough or if I don't have enough information to... Like things aren't connecting between my eyes and my brain anymore. Like there's so many different ways that line can be blurred to the point of non-existence almost. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This is a weird concept too that I'm about to approach. with you all, okay, in 1948,
It was a
Graham-
good year.
it was Graham Priest. He was an Australian philosopher. This is the concept of trivialism, everyone. Now, we're going to have to leave our common sense at the door here, okay?
Done.
Trivialism is a philosophical position that asserts that all statements or propositions are true. All. And that contradiction...
I can't leave my comments at that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry, it's bad.
Contradictions such as P is P. Just the letter P. Think of P. No, gosh, people. The letter P is P. That is accurate. But someone else could say P is not P. That is also accurate in trivialism.
Like fish. Like
Like fish, F or PH.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, right? So a trivialist will believe in every possibility for every statement. Whatever the truth, there is no truth. Okay? Regardless of its context, both are true.
Oh, yeah.
Both are accurate.
I could see that for like philosophical questions, or like even just like seeing both sides of an argument and being
Yeah.
like, there is no defined answer. But like, but you said philosophical in the definition, right?
I did say philosophical.
Okay, so I was
but-
imagining like,
But this would be even greater than that. This
it-
would be 1 + 1 = 2. That is correct. But this is 1 + 1 = 7. That is correct.
oh, okay, so that's where I draw the
So
line.
is it like?
You're like, there's my line.
So it's like Schrodinger's cat, kind of, where like the cat is both alive and dead at the same time.
Well, if you said it's alive and Razi said it was dead,
It's dead.
both of you could be correct.
We just don't
Would
know.
be, not could be. You
Okay.
both would be.
It
So,
is.
like this. So I looked up. How is this possible?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Like, how, no, but if
He
you
alive.
are a trivialist,
Alternate.
well,
it is
then
possible.
You're wrong.
I hate to break it to you, but
That's the answer.
I'm an
there's
anti-trivialist.
something very
Bear
deep
with
about
me.
that.
Bear
and
with
you know
me.
what? He would have to believe that.
That is
Because I said he's wrong.
I'm going to take it somewhere, and I don't know if it's how they intend to take it, but I think I may sway you that it could be right some of the time. Let's just wait. So my first question, though,
Pretty
is how?
stubborn.
How does this happen? How is this possible? I'm going to brush over a few, and there's one I want to go into in depth with you, okay? So to understand this, we have to understand kind of this philosophy and what's going on. So people who believe in trivialism believe in reverse of logic. They believe in paraconsistent logics, okay, which means multiple. And they believe
I
in
need just say multiple.
semantic approaches, okay? So trivialists might argue that the meaning of truth itself needs to be reconsidered. They may propose a semantic shift where truth is understood in a way that allows for contradictions without rendering the entire system trivial. I'm going to give you an example now. Okay? Bear with me.
Flat earthers.
Jenna,
The Earth is actually a
I want
rectangle.
you, Jenna, I want you to say,
Okay.
that makes me angry when I tell you.
Oh
Okay?
no.
Okay? And then I
I
am.
have to say it when you tell me to say it.
Yes, you're
That
gonna.
makes
It'll
me
be clear in a
angry. That's
second.
my line.
Rozzy, I want you to say, that makes me sad.
Okay.
Okay? Now, Charlotte is going to say to both of you a statement, and you're going to answer it with that, okay?
Okay.
So I want you, Charlotte, to say, I've brought my blue water bottle.
I've brought my blue water bottle.
That makes me angry.
That makes me sad.
Now, you both said contradictory things. Cannot both be true.
Those can both be
Ah!
true.
Yeah, those can both be true.
Here's the thing. Those can both be true.
That's a weird
But
example.
that's not. I don't like your example.
That
Those
makes
can
me
both be
angry.
True, but like that,
Those are two different people.
those are like
Yeah.
like it's different when it comes to feelings versus facts.
Okay. Okay. But
Facts and
so
opinions.
that's the whole thing of what is the truth and what not. So there's a scale on trivialism, right? There's minimal trivialism, pluralist trivialism, acutist trivialism, and absolute trivialism. Okay? So that's where they go. And they go from in some worlds, propositions have a designated value, all the way to in all worlds, all propositions have a designated value. I think it hits somewhere in the middle. I don't think with mathematical facts you can't do that, in my opinion. But there can be multiple truths to multiple people at times when we're talking about the psychology of a human being, right? Trivial, the game of Clue is very silly and trivial to me, but it could be vital to who Charlotte has become. And both of those can be true.
I feel better with the scale.
You feel better
I
with,
feel
when
better
I
with this
introduce
one.
the scale.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Many philosophers just hate this. They don't agree with it. But I couldn't not mention it today because there are people who believe that is accurate.
And it's a valid point. I don't agree with all
Yeah,
aspects
I mean,
of it.
Australia is
but-
a free country,
Yeah.
so you can believe whatever. That's your call.
To go farther, many philosophers, they reject it, and this is what they say about it. It undermines the very foundations of logical reasoning and meaningful discourse.
That's like so
Yeah.
unnecessarily
They-
mean.
Yeah, they think like,
I was like,
if you believe this, you can't even talk to people.
Yeah, like don't even talk. Like why? You're making all of us stupider. Oh my gosh.
Right?
That's funny.
Isn't that's when I was saying this whole word has got things going upside down and crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Cuckoo.
We all know the game Trivial Pursuit. Does anyone like it?
I love Trivial Pursuit.
I hate it.
I like it when I'm winning.
You're
I've
wrong.
never. I don't know what Trivial Pursuit is.
I know of it, but I don't think
Yes.
I've ever played
All
it.
right. Well, let me tell you about Trivial Pursuit. You want to
Okay,
know a little bit
tell
about
me
it?
a little bit about. Hey, can you tell me a little bit about
All
Trivial
right.
Pursuit?
I'm going to tell you a little bit about Trivial Pursuit.
Thanks.
It was invented by some Canadian journalists. And they actually had the idea when they were playing a game of Scrabble, and they ran out of letters, and so they kind of invented their own game. So it is a game, and it came. They started working on it in '79, and I think it finally reached people by 1982. But they had a lot of problems
long
because
enough.
people were like, the publishers were like, no one's gonna want this game. This is kind of elitist or silly.
Nerds.
Or, yeah. No one's going to want it. It became hugely, immensely popular. It's basically a game of questions. Questions that people might consider trivial in nature, where the definition went to, where it came to by 1982.
Ordinary, insignificant.
Ordinary, insignificant.
Trifling.
Yeah, those insignificant little questions. And the name's really interesting, and I think the name is very interesting because the pursuit thereof,
Oh, sorry.
right? So it is the pursuit of these insignificant, in this case, facts. But human nature kind of has trivial pursuit throughout time. Go back to Victorian England and the importance of being earnest, the pursuit of these trivial natured things. Let's go back to our slang episode.
I listened to that one too.
Oh, that's great.
That was a good one.
Hey.
So in the slang episode, we talk about a term that was keeping up with the
Joneses.
right? So it's that pursuit of something trivial, because keeping up with the Joneses is obviously not a vital thing to
No.
your existence in life.
You don't need to do it.
You don't need to do it, right? So in the 80s, in the time of that commercialism and how marketing took major steps forward, just the whole concept of being in pursuit of trivial things, this game kind of mirrors a shift in consumerism and all these different things that started happening at that time. But that's what Trivial Pursuit is. I don't much care for it myself.
No?
So, mm-mm.
Do you like trivia at all?
No.
Not
I
at
don't-
all.
I don't like
Like you
Why?
wouldn't go like you know how
I
different
mean,
places
it's
have
kind
like
of interesting
games?
because I'm full of useless knowledge sometimes, but it's very specific useless.
Well, I was gonna say,
knowledge.
what
Yeah.
about specific things? Because I went to a Harry Potter trivia night. Yeah,
I played Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit.
yeah. It's like, so would there be a certain thing, like if there was like a, what do you call it?
No,
Playwrights trivia.
I wouldn't be good at it.
What about
And here's why.
musical
I
trivia?
I wouldn't be good at it. My brain.
Managing a theater
This is the
trivia.
way my.
You have to know.
This is the way my brain works, right? My brain, like when I need to garner or gather information, and I'm working on a show, and I consume as much data, information, psychological resources, all these different things about the world I'm creating. I gather it all. And then
So
it's like
you ain't
my
got time
brain
for the
does
rest.
not have room to hold on to it when it's over. When I have to go on to the
Yeah.
next thing, I got to make space. and then I can't. I don't
You're like, moving
necessarily
day,
recall.
get out of here.
Yeah, like the thing with Trivial Pursuit, or at least the one on PlayStation. There's like different categories. So then there's like geography, and then biology, and then like there'll be like classic literature, and it'll be like, who was the best friend of Shakespeare, and whatever, you know.
Well, it wasn't Christopher Marlowe.
Was not.
I enjoy trivia, and I also enjoy like when people kind of argue about little trivial things. Do we have time?
I don't like that.
You don't like
kidding,
it?
I'm kidding.
It's okay.
Yeah,
you cannot
go
like
ahead.
it.
It makes me sad.
Oh, does it make you angry?
Maybe.
Both can be true.
Ask us.
We're both right.
Can we do a trivial debate?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
We're gonna play a game called "Is It a Sandwich?"
I'll get music.
Okay. We'll start with some easy ones. Okay. BLT. Is it a sandwich?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
They sell
Yeah.
it at McAllister's as a sandwich, so
Oh.
I would say yeah.
Nice. What makes it a sandwich?
Bread and things.
So I would say bread and the fact that you can pick it up.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that's an important. Yeah.
All right, number two
but the bread
is
and
important.
picking it up.
Okay, so
Like
the bread is an
ty-
important
the
thing in a
type-
sandwich.
The type of bread.
Yeah.
Because I know where you're going.
Do
and
ya?
I'm going to say
Yeah.
no in a
Do-
second.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, number two, a chicken wrap.
No.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, not a sandwich.
It is a wrap.
Okay.
I agree.
Number three, a Pop-Tart.
No, that's not a
Yes,
sandwich.
honestly, maybe.
That is
Because
a breakfast strudely thing.
but okay. Listen, hear me out. So,
oh, we'll try to.
do you know in like places like Potbellies where they'll like put like the butter on the
We've
top
got
of the
lots
bread?
of product placement. If we said any one of your company names, feel free to give us
If
a
you guys
call.
wanna pay
We'll
for
take
that.
Yeah. So like they'll put stuff on the top of the bread, right? And then they'll bake it and there's stuff in the middle. And sometimes the bread covers the stuff in the middle. So why is it any different than a Pop-Tart?
Wait, that's
you
true,
can hold it like this. There's two sides and there's stuff inside of it.
It's like a bread-like substance. It's a carb.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
it is a carb. I think a Pop-Tart is a wrap. And if it's like anything, like,
because all
It's a
sides are
burrito.
enclosed.
it's like a burrito because it's all sides enclosed and you get like your fillings in the middle. There's like not that much, but like imagine if you could put like chicken and meat in burrito, like
that would be
kind-
terrible. If
that kind of stuff, and like a little Pop-Tart, then it would be like a burrito.
Pop-Tart, chicken
Chicken
and
flavor, chicken and bean flavor. But I don't know. I would say, in my humble opinion, no.
What did you say? Did you say Pop-Tart? You said no.
Oh, I would put a no in front of that.
Okay, I have a few more. One you mentioned just now, burrito.
No,
No, it's a burrito.
That's a burrito.
because it's one piece.
It's not called
It
a
is, yeah.
bean and cheese sandwich.
Okay, I've got a thing to tell you guys about in the moment.
Okay.
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 A taco.
Is
It's
a taco.
I think a taco is more related to a hot dog than a sandwich, but I think that a hot dog is
I
a
think it's
sandwich.
more
It's a
related
hot
to a
dog, a
burrito.
sandwich.
Is closer to a sandwich than a burrito.
It's like a wrap. It's more like a wrap.
It's like yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a
And I don't
there's
need
a
this kind of
there's
wrap.
a family tree of like
Check
starch-based meal things,
Uh-huh.
and like I feel yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the last one. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to share a little chart with you. Lasagna.
That's pasta,
Is-
sauce, and meat, not a sandwich.
They doing it because it's layered
Pasta?
like that.
Is
Yeah.
if we've got it's layered.
person
There's stuff
is
in between it.
Agree. I
No.
think that it might.
Can pasta
think,
be bread?
Well, I think under the right
I think they're
conditions,
saying any
lasagna
carb.
could be a sandwich. I'm not saying I would call it a sandwich.
It's
I will not pick up a lasagna with my hands.
that's true. You don't eat it with your
But I
hands.
think what she's saying is there's some people who will eat a sandwich with a fork and knife.
yeah.
I have seen that before. I don't know
Just
that.
because you won't pick up your lasagna.
Just because you want to turn your your veggie sandwich into a salad doesn't mean it's not a sandwich. I don't know. I
Oh my
would say probably
gosh.
not.
Okay. So there's actually a sandwich alignment chart. Okay.
Okay.
On the on the sandwich a sandwich. I say
Wow.
sandwich. I say
Okay.
sandwich all the time, and so I'm trying to say it correctly.
sandwich.
Sandwich. On this sandwich chart, okay, you've got like
that
right
it's a
here.
sandwich alignment chart.
Oh yeah, that it's so like what you answered is really kind of like where you align. So I'm intrigued. Okay, so you've got on this side you've got structure purist, right? So that's like a sandwich must have a classic sandwich shape, 2 pieces of bread or baked product with toppings in between. Structure neutral is the container must be on either side of the toppings, but not necessarily 2 separate pieces. Structure rebel
Okay.
can contain any food enveloped in any way by a containing food.
So like lettuce wrap. Like
right.
if you use a big piece of lettuce and you wrap up turkey and stuff inside that.
Okay, so structure purist, structure neutral, structure rebel. Then here you've got ingredient purist, so classic sandwich toppings, meat, cheese, lettuce, etc. Ingredient neutral can have like a broader scope of savory ingredients. Ingredient rebel can contain literally any food product sandwiched together.
That's Charlotte.
Right? so with some. So like the Pop-Tart is a sandwich would be a structure rebel and an ingredient rebel.
See?
So you
I'm
would be
all the
a
way in the
radical
top
sandwich
left corner.
anarchy. You would be a hardline
Must be a piece of bread.
traditionalist.
A
Right?
burger is not a sandwich. It's a burger.
Yes, it is.
It is a
It's
burger.
meat,
It's a
2 pieces
burger.
of bread.
No, Charlotte's right. I
Thank
agree
you.
with you, Charlotte.
Thank
2
you.
pieces of white
It's
or
a
wheat bread.
sandwich.
That is what it is.
But a hot dog bun is white bread, but shaped differently.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's got to be
It is.
shaped this way.
It has to be shaped that way, which is why it's like, burger is.
Now you could cut up a hot dog and put it on 2 pieces of bread. Then it's a sandwich.
Oh my gosh. Anarchy.
I've done that
Anarchy.
before. It's good.
You've done that before?
I was out of hot dog
Why?
buns, and all I had
Okay,
was white
that's
bread, and
fair.
I was like,
Okay.
I can't just
All
stick
right.
this on there.
You gotta do what you gotta
What
do.
can I do?
Well, you could take the white bread and just wrap it around it.
That's true, but then it gets like, I don't know.
You cut the crease at the bottom.
Yeah,
and then
and
you
it
can
like
put
feels
mustard.
weird in my hand, just like holding like a. I
Interesting.
don't know. I don't like it.
You have one more?
What is the first day of the week?
Monday.
Oh, that's philosophical.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
What? On the 7th
Look
day,
at-
the Lord rested.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
But the
Wednesday,
calendar-
Thursday, Friday.
It says the calendar.
But in the Spanish calendar, like when you're speaking Spanish, Monday is the first day.
There's Sunday and there's Monday. There's Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not everybody has their weekends off, so I would say, like technically, it'd be Sunday. And I think Spain probably does Monday because they're on a different time than us.
What?
But they still have
And they're
7 days in a
wrong.
week.
But what's your opinion?
I
what's your
always think
opinion?
of it as Sunday, and I blame the calendar because it's first. But I agree with you about the like 7th day,
Yeah.
But then Seventh Day Adventists go on Saturdays.
Saturday.
So
Yeah.
is that so? I always see it as Sunday is the first day of the week.
Monday's
This
like
is
the
one of
first day
those
the-
truths can be different for different people.
Yeah, like Monday's the
Both
beginning
can
of the
be true,
work
can they
week.
not?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Monday's
Yeah.
the beginning of the work week.
Yeah.
But
This-
Sunday is the first day.
This is this is trivialism.
It
Yeah.
is.
This is trivialism because I think in this instance, I think maybe more than one can be true.
Yeah.
I think you're all wrong.
And you're right.
I love it.
I have got a few tips for people
Talk to me, baby.
on,
Darling.
in our world today on how to help determine what is vital and what is trivial. And I encourage our audience to try and think about this sometimes, okay? We're overwhelmed. We get a lot. We're asked a lot of. Ask yourself to define your goals and priorities for you. Clearly outline where you want to get to. What do you need to do in the short term versus long term? Identify your core values. Use an urgency and importance matrix. What's more urgent and what's more important? Critical thinking. Analyze the potential impact of a task or decision on your goals. Focus on high impact activities. Identify the activities that have significant impact on your goals. Time sensitivity. Consider deadlines and time constraints when prioritizing tasks. Evaluate consequences. Assess the consequences of neglecting a task or spending time on a trivial matter. We're sitting there scrolling through social media and you get sucked in and you're on Facebook and you're like, oh, I could just do this for 5 more minutes. Evaluate. Or I could do this actual thing that will lead towards the goals I want to do. Delegate. Determine if you can get help on a task or tasks. Avoid perfectionism. So hard. Recognize when good enough is sufficient for tasks of lower priority. Avoid spending excessive time on trivial details. That's like that beginning thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be flexible. Consider your personal well-being. Consider the impact on your physical and mental well-being. Always go back to those goals. Those are just a few things.
Like it.
In this world, when we don't know where the line is, when that line is blurred or gone, ask yourself information which will help you be you and not become what the world tells you maybe you should be by having to keep up with the Joneses. Or as Oscar Wilde once said, life is far too important a thing to ever talk seriously about. Wilde's wit sets the stage for our exploration of trivial and its original use. The term trivial finds its roots in the Latin word trivium, referring to the 3 foundational arts of grammar, rhetoric, and logic. These concepts form the cornerstone of our knowledge. Over time, its meaning evolved to describe things of little significance or importance. But yet, how do we define what is something of little significance or importance? As we discuss math and science, we encounter a unique perspective on the term. What might seem trivial on the surface often lays the foundation for more complex ideas. In science, seemingly insignificant details can unlock profound and vital discoveries, which can lead us to a non-trivial discovery. In order for our shared human discoveries and growth, a distinction between vital and trivial becomes essential in understanding the value of each. There's a delicate balance between recognizing what truly matters and appreciating the seemingly insignificant. The seemingly insignificant. Sometimes, diving into trivial matters can lead to greater understanding and appreciation. Sometimes it's just bike shedding. This understanding of the trivial can lead to a serious understanding of the vital aspects of our life. But sometimes, as the scales tip solely to the trivial, whether it be in Victorian times or today's technology and social media, we can lose focus of what's truly vital. In the trivial, we can lose focus of our goals, of who we are, of what our values are. But that's okay, right? Enter trivialism. The spectrum of trivialists who find meaning and fascination in the minute of life. While there's a risk of getting too caught up in trivial matters, the exploration of the trivial can also cultivate a heightened sense of awareness and curiosity, contributing to a richer perspective on life and perhaps an understanding of someone else's journey alongside us. Oscar Wilde was a master of wit and satire. And he had a unique perspective on triviality. In The Importance of Being Earnest, Wilde explored the trivialities of social conventions, revealing the deeper absurdities of human behavior. Wilde's work encourages us to question the seriousness with which we approach life and challenges the notion that trivial matters are inherently devoid of significance. Question the prevailing attitudes towards what is considered important or trivial in society. Reassess your values. Question the status quo, even in the case of truth. While truth is undoubtedly vital, the path to truth often involves navigating the seemingly trivial aspects of life. In mathematics and science, the pursuit of truth requires attention to details that may appear inconsequential. Similarly, in our personal interactions, acknowledging the individual nuances and varied reactions to the same event leads to a deeper understanding of personal truths. Your truth and how you feel may be different than mine. Seek the truth. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. There may be trivial aspects to the truth, but just as in science, the full truth may be non-trivial, requiring significant intellectual effort to find, and not easily deduced from existing knowledge. As Oscar Wilde said, we should treat all the trivial things of life seriously, and all the serious things of life with sincere and studied triviality. So embark and embrace the quirky. Trust your instincts. Find harmony in life's trivial pursuits. Indulge in moments of nostalgia. Challenge your phobias and discover the unexpected richness of the seemingly insignificant details that contribute to the richness of our experiences on our journey. Well, my friends, we have come to the end of our episode. I am Dominic.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Rozzy.
I'm Harmon.
And you've been listening to One Word.
One word.
One word.
It's a one word. Yeah, one word.
Ending track.
Join us next month when our word is destiny. See you next time.
One Word is a production of BFAC on Air.
Don't do that.
Sorry, I just hit the table. You got this.
Let him cook.
Thank you. I do. I'm sorry, that sounded so condescending. Okay, I'm starting.